I have had 5 open heart surgeries and 36 others. Recently, I had a heart transplant.
He really struggled with receiving a transplant, knowing it was going to come from another kid. He went through a lot of stages where he would want his transplant because of course he'd want to feel better, but then the next day he wouldn't want it because he knew that another mother was going to have to grieve their child for him to live.
I am the parent of a young adult with congenital heart disease.
I am living with congenital heart disease.
This organization has given me and my family an avenue to advocate not only for our son, but also for all individuals with congenital heart disease.
Congenital heart disease is the most common birth defect. 1 in 100 births have CHD, with more than 3 million patients living in the United States. There is no cure. CHD is a lifelong disease requiring ongoing specialized care.
Our mission is to conquer congenital heart disease. We started out in the advocacy space, originally as the Pediatric Congenital Heart Association. We quickly grew into education resources, support networks, and now we're getting into the research area. We really want to improve outcomes and improve quality for all patients and families.
What I love about this organization, one is its energy. This organization, it cares so passionately about what it does. Its advocacy work, its focus on transparency, its focus on building relationships and collaborations.
What makes Conquering CHD different is that we all have a connection to congenital heart disease. We're patients, we're families. Anyone who's on the board, who's the staff, who's a volunteer, has a connection or a family member who has congenital heart disease.
And I think that this organization encompasses everything that families need. There's education, there's support, there's advocacy, there's research and relationship building all across every avenue of the CHD journey.
They really do try to meet the families where they are. So for example, going into the hospitals to make sure that patients and families know and understand the resources that are available to them. They have state chapters, they have a national chapter. They also have a wealth of information available online.
I've gotten involved with this organization because I go back and think about the stress that I felt and the questions I had. And this organization has made a commitment across the board to being able to assist those families that were much like us.
This organization gave me the tools and the ability to give back to the community, and I don't think I would have been able to have the impact that we have without them and without their support. So I'm very grateful for that, and I want to keep supporting the mission and being a part of this organization.
When your child is first born with a congenital heart defect, you feel alone and isolated, and having a community of support is just somebody there who you can relate to and vent to, share stories with, and our local community, really just, they're part of the family.
With that prenatal diagnosis, all the way even to through adulthood and maybe even experiencing a loss, these families need support and resources every step of the way.
You know, CHDs don't care about your race, your religion, how much money you make, you know, where you come from. And I think it's important to realize that, you know, that there's children with CHDs and adults with CHDs. And I think one of the important things is that we're a very diverse group and we try to span across a very diverse group.
If we don't stand up and create these vital resources for patients and families, they simply will not exist.
We're advocating for everyone with congenital heart disease because it affects them along their lifespan. It is the most common birth defect. There has to be some place for them to get resources and support along their journey.
When I was a kid growing up and when my parents were young, there was no support. There were no groups out there to help patients and families get information or to feel like they weren't alone in the journey. So now we're so lucky to have other people that we can talk to who've been where we've been and who can understand what we're going through.
So as a CHD patient, I really hope for the future that children and families affected by CHD, no matter where they live or how much money they make, can have the same access to quality healthcare, education, and support.
When somebody says, "So is that it for your son? Is he good now?" I can never say yes to that, and I just really hope that someday we will conquer CHD and I can say, "Yeah, that's it, we're good now."
Together we are conquering CHD.
Together we are conquering CHD.
Together
We are conquering CHD.